Hamish Crawford, BBC News.
Well, let's talk about this some more. Campaigner Tanvir Mukhtar and President of the Tutors Association, John Nichols, here in the studio with us. Good morning to both.
Morning.
Tanvir, can I just start with you, first of all, because I think that report very much brought things clearly into people's minds. But you, as a parent, you have had a moment when you've come face to face with one of these problems. Can you just take us through that?
Yeah, actually, it really gave my heart palpitations listening to that interview with that lady, because it could have happened to me. About 10 years ago, both my children were being tutored. One day, he didn't turn up. A few weeks later, I get a call from a police officer asking whether my children had been tutored by that particular tutor, and that there are obviously issues around that other children had been abused. I then went through the process of having to sit my children down and ask them whether anything had happened, and thankfully, and I thank God every day that nothing had happened and they were absolutely fine. And I think one of the major reasons why was because they were tutored together, that nothing actually happened. But this put me on a journey of actually trying to understand why it happened and why I had allowed this man into my home. And obviously I felt guilt as a parent, and then I started doing some research and realised that there is no legal requirements for tutors to have any form of criminal background check. I was horrified. Parents that I spoke to were also horrified. 99% of the parents that I speak to have absolutely no idea that tutors, private tutors, that there is no legal requirement around this. And so I decided to set up a tutoring platform to focus specifically on this, and the tutors on there who teach children to all be mandatorily 100% DBS criminally background checked. So that's a journey I went on. But it's so many parents have tutors, and so many parents have private tutors for whether it's 11 plus or the A levels or the GCSEs, and I think they just need to be informed to do the required checks so that their children are safe.
John, President of the Tutors Association, so you do have tutors on your books who are DBS checked?
We are a professional body, so we represent tutors and tuition companies across the United Kingdom and now further afield as well. And it is a mandatory requirement for all of our members to have a DBS check within the last year. And
do people go to you to hire a tutor?
No.
Right, so this is what I want the clarification of.
So in the same way that you'd have RICS for surveyors and you'd have the solicitors have their own professional body, the Tutors Association is a professional body. It's relatively young as a professional body. It only was founded in 2013. But we have made it a really key, important part of our mission to make sure that there are robust standards in place for our members, a professional code of practice, and it's absolutely a mandatory requirement that everyone has a DBS check, and it's either on the update service or it's less than a year old.
What is happening is that parents are trying to find tutors for their kids. We know this is happening. Pressure of exams and, just trying to get their children into the schools they want, think are best for them. So they are looking around for tutors, and the prices of tutoring are going up. So they're looking... So we get reports they're looking on Facebook, for example. Someone was talking about it in our office this morning, that there were tutors handing out leaflets in the street,
Yeah,
saying,
you can,
So anyone can say they're a tutor.
That is something which is the case right now. There is absolutely no legal status of tutor in the UK, right? They don't have to be employed by anyone in particular, like teachers would be employed by a school. Most of them are self-employed, which is absolutely fine.
I can be a tutor,
You could say you're a tutor, walk out, and regardless of your knowledge and experience, there's nothing illegal about you saying, I can tutor your child in chemistry. It doesn't matter if you know anything about chemistry whatsoever, or English or maths or anything else. But what we want to stress is that actually the vast majority of professional tutors really take it seriously, and they have the right qualifications and they're perfectly safe. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that there is at least a mandatory minimum standard, which has to be an enhanced DBS check, that everyone must meet, right? And obviously there are lots of tutors out there that do meet a much higher standard and deliver a fantastic service. We're very proud to have lots of them as members, but membership of TTA is completely voluntary.
I suppose, Tanvir, what a lot of John's saying there makes complete sense. You want to do as many checks as you can. But in the same breath, if all the parents that you know have used a tutor who has done brilliant work, got great results, very lovely. You know, the word of mouth is good.
Recommendation.
Some people would say that's almost better. I mean, that's almost better than a stamp of approval that could have happened a year ago. It's not necessarily straightforward, is it?
It is completely not straightforward. I went on a recommendation. Most parents go on recommendations. So I actually say to parents, friends of mine, or clients that don't go by recommendations. If you do, make sure you still ask for certificates. Make sure you still speak to parents of their tutees. Still do your research. And and I would concur with John that, the far majority of, tutors in this country are very good. They do have the DBS. They are part of professional tutor agencies. But there are thousands of tutors on Facebook, as you've already mentioned. Just on my own Scholar Hub Facebook group, I have over 30,000. So, and they're global. We're not just talking about tutors in the UK. We're talking about tutors from all over the world who are, much cheaper than the tutors in the UK. So, it is slightly complicated, but looking specifically at the UK tutors, a legal requirement is absolutely a no-brainer. It has to be done. Anyone, even football coaches, need some form of criminal background check. Private tutors are working with children on a daily basis.
You say it's a no-brainer. You say it's a no-brainer. Morning, Tanvir. It's Naga. You say it's a no-brainer. Who's blocking it then? Who says it isn't a no-brainer? I
have absolutely no idea. I mean, it's been 10 years since I've been campaigning about this.
John?
Yeah, so we actually wrote to the new Secretary of State for Education, Bridget Phillipson, and we've laid out a new plan for the tuition sector. And key point number one is, let's create a statutory definition of what a tutor is, because that doesn't exist at the minute. So there's nothing that the government can do, because the tuition has never been treated any differently to inviting any other guest into your home. The government doesn't legislate on inviting guests into your home. It's seen as a private matter. And that's fair enough. Yeah. But with tutors, this is a professional activity which should have some level of oversight. So we need a definition, first of all, of what a tutor is. We're very happy to assist the government to put something like that in place. It's very straightforward. And then once we've got that, we want it to be absolutely mandatory that tutors must be on any approved register that could be sort of approved by the Secretary of State, an approved register that shows they have a enhanced DBS.
I suppose in a way, John, one of the problems here is if all parents who are seeking tutors did require the tutor to have the checks or whatever, then the other ones would not get any work. And I'm not blaming parents, but clearly somebody somewhere is making a decision to employ the people who haven't had the checks.
That's true. The vast majority of reputable tutors and tuition companies already do these checks anyway. So this is not really an imposition over and above what most tutors would already normally be doing. So for the vast majority of reputable tutors out there, that many of them are former teachers, some of them are not, and that's perfectly fine. They have other specialist skills and knowledge and experience, but they already have a DBS check. For all of our members, it's mandatory to have a DBS check anyway. This is not some huge overbearing burden that we're putting on tutors. This is the bare minimum.
Thank you very much. John Nichols, President of the Tutors Association. Tanvir, thank you for sharing your story.